Hey everybody, welcome back to Collectibles Chat. My name's Matt Rudisell and I'm your host. And today we have a very special interview with my good friend Brandon Willis with Fourth and Goal Promotions and the Collectors Vault. This is actually take number 20, I think. I mean, we've had Zoom issues, we've had recording where it's going to show up issues, nothing on Brandon's fault, all Zoom technical things. And honestly, I haven't figured it out. Spent an hour on the phone with Zoom yesterday, and it's still kind of reverting back. So we're going to hope this takes. If not, we may have to do it just in person. That way
I like it.
we won't have the Zoom option with us. But Brandon, thanks for coming back. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us that, well, I'm glad you're here. I'm just glad this is working.
Yes.
You probably don't know how excited I am that maybe it's actually gonna work this time. But let's get started with tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are and what you do.
I do want to correct one thing. You said that none of them were my fault, and the very first one was my fault because I did such a terrible job introducing myself, which should be the easiest part. I told Matt, I was like, we got to start over, we got to start over," and Matt was like, "That's not how it works, Brandon." I think that was my first Hollywood moment where I was expecting the director to come in and be like, "Cut," and then we could start over. So if I mess up at any point, I'm just going to holler "cut," and then we'll insert like a collector's vault ad, right?
Yeah,
And
that
then we can
sounds good.
start back.
We
I
can put
like it.
little
I like
ads
it.
in these things. They're not professional by any means.
I like it. We'll just slide a picture up in front of the camera or something, and
That's right.
that'll be our break. So anyway, I'm Brandon Willis. My wife and I we own a few different local businesses. We own BMW's landscaping. That's our I always call it my boring job, but it's fun also. Then we own Fourth and Goal Promotions, where we host conventions in the Carolinas. And then recently, we've just opened a collector's vault card and collectible shop in Shelby, North Carolina. We joke a lot, but it's actually in Bowling Springs, North Carolina. But it has a Shelby address, so if you're familiar with the area, it's not far from Shelby, and it's right behind El Acapulco Mexican restaurant in Bowling Springs. So we kind of wear a lot of different hats right now. One of the biggest questions we always used to get with Fourth and Goal was why our shows are called Collectors Vault, but our company's name is Fourth and Goal. So the long term plan with Fourth and Goal Promotions was to maybe have a brick and mortar store one day, and then of course with Fourth and Goal Promotions we want to host different shows and conventions. We have some interesting things in the works other than just collectibles and card shows, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that. But the main thing is, of course, right now focusing on getting those card and collectible shows doing really well, and then at the same time taking off with Collectors Vault and keeping some yards looking nice during the day with BMW's landscaping.
So Brandon and I are a lot alike. We are constantly, busy, it seems like. There's always something else to do. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting earlier this morning with someone about a business, and I said, I'm constantly just I have something going on all the time. So I don't think I would have it any other way. I'm kind of guessing you probably wouldn't either.
Yes.
Definitely enjoy that kind of lifestyle. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about that. Before when we recorded the episode that didn't take,
Hmm.
we talked a little bit about some of the differences, and I appreciate you kind of clarifying some
Yeah.
of that. So the store you opened is brand new, right? I mean, it just a few weeks ago.
It is basically so my dad, myself and my dad, we both always vended at shows, which is kind of where Fourth and Goal came from. But we've always enjoyed selling collectibles, trading collectibles, meeting collectors, things like that. So the brick and mortar thing has always been a good idea. We had a good place already that we kind of use for storage and things like that. So we're just going to open it up now. My dad's got a big selection of pretty much anything collectible when you think about like Tonka trucks, Hot Wheels, diecast cars, model kits. I'm sure I'm missing some stuff, but he's got a lot. And then I have a pretty large selection of sports cards. We've got a small selection of Pokemon. We're learning about Pokemon, so we've just now incorporated that. Um, and then I've got some toys and collectibles to go with that too. And my brother's even getting involved. He's got him a case of some sports cards in there, so he's in there usually trying to sell me something, make me buy stuff.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, I think it's fun to see that come to fruition. You've thought about it for a little while, and it's nice
Hmm.
to see all of that happen. So how long have you been in the collectibles business? Now, let's separate this. You've been a collector. How
Yes.
long in the business? So you've been a collector probably most of your life, right?
Yeah, I'm 38, so I'd say my collecting probably seriously for 25 years or so. When I was a teenager, I was definitely already collecting NASCAR, probably collected some sports cards back then too, and some Pokemon. Um, as far as being in the business, I mean, I kind of want to say I've always been in the business relatively too. My dad was
Mm.
doing shows when I was a kid, which is of course where I became a collector to start with. So my dad would go and set up at toy and collectible shows, and he was real big into farm equipment. So a lot of tractor shows and things like that, he would go and set up at those. And of course, when I was too young to travel, he would go to a show, and then I'd be waiting on to see what kind of surprise he brought me back. So he'd have me some kind of new truck or tractor or something I could play with, which was always exciting. And then, of course, as I got a little older, I always wanted to go to the shows too. So I would have a little selection maybe on his table of 5 or 10 things. And one thing I always think about is as soon as I would sell something, if it was $5, $10, $8, whatever the case may be, I was immediately going to another vendor to buy something to add to my collection. So I'd choose something to sell, get that money, and then run and spend it immediately. So that was always fun to sell something to get excitement out of selling it, but then of course to go and add something new to the collection.
It's pretty awesome. I think that the fact that you were able to do it with your dad and able to have that, interaction there, I think number one, that's
Oh yeah.
fantastic. That's just something that a lot of people probably dream of being able to do.
Yeah.
And I know that you've had your kids at some shows too, so I've seen them, maybe kind
Always,
of getting
yes.
into the business a little bit.
Yes.
And I think that's equally as exciting. So you've been a collector, you really started vending at a young age, whether
Yes.
you thought you were doing that or not, you're just buying and selling. So that's pretty cool. What
Hmm.
got you into the promotion part of it, where you started actually setting up shows for others?
Yeah. So this is kind of a long story. We touched on some of this in our other interview that
Hmm.
only me and Matt got to see. But I have a retail background. So when I first got out of high school, I went into retail. I was in retail for about 15 years. I did about any position you could do at Lowe's. I loved my job. I loved the people I worked with. I loved getting to interact with customers. Kind of moved up through the ranks along the years, and I became store manager. Store manager has its own stresses, of course, as far as the job goes, but it was a lot of fun. And then in 2021, we went through kind of a life altering thing. My wife and I were expecting what would then be our fourth child, and my wife had a miscarriage in January of 21, and it really just impacted me in a big way. That was something, of course, I'd never been through before, and it really took a toll on me mentally and even probably to a physical extent. And of course, while I was working my job, that was a really stressful job, and then trying to go through that, it just wasn't working good so mentally. So Lowe's worked with me. I took some time off, tried to get my mind right. I was dealing with some anxiety, I guess you would say, but also depression, which
Mm.
if you've ever dealt with that, it's it kind of affects everybody a little different. So it just took a toll on me. Long story short, I needed some time. Lowe's gave me some time. I was able to get some therapy. I was able to get some time with my family and get my mind right. But it took a little longer than I wanted to. In that position, I felt like I needed to make a decision whether I could go back or whether I couldn't. And a long story short, I decided I couldn't do that. So I resigned from Lowe's because I wanted the team to be able to have a leader in the building, and I wanted to make sure I was healthy. So about that same time is when my dad was talking about selling his business. So it kind of started off as a joke, and one day I was like, "Man, you should just sell me your business and I'll take over." And that's where BMW's landscaping came from. It used to be Mike's Lawn Care. So I bought it from him and changed it into my initials, BMW's landscaping. So it's all going to get back to how Fourth and Goal started, I promise. But I always missed that little piece of retail and the excitement behind the retail environment, and that's where kind of we always vended at shows. And me and my dad had done a lot of shows since I left Lowe's. And I told him, I was like, we should host some shows, and I think it'd be fun. It gives me a chance to work on the merchandising aspect. It gives me a chance to work on scheduling. It keeps my brain moving, which is great because I'm always thinking far ahead. We actually spoke about this the other day, but like with Fourth and Goal, I can think way into the future. Like we're already planning shows for December of 27,
Mhm.
so we're whatever that is, almost 18 months in the future, which is exciting. And you always got something to look forward to. We've always got that next show that we're preparing and planning and kind of keeps the wheels turning, and then we get new ways to interact with the customers and ultimately, I just want to make a really good experience for the people that walk in the door, a really good experience for the vendors, and just have good stories where people come to a Fourth and Goal show and they have a great time and they find some new items and just have a good time and continue to grow those collections. So that is a very long version of the question you asked. I'm sorry. But it kind of takes a long answer to get to the point. So sorry.
Yeah, and I'm super sorry that you went through all that
Thank you.
stuff. I know that it had to be tough, and I think that you know the Lowe's work, it all prepared you. It all prepared
Hmm.
you for what you're doing now. But it's
For sure.
so
Yeah.
so. I think it's great that you told that story because it shows the comparison. It shows how you took pretty much everything that you did at Lowe's and now you're doing it in the vending,
Yes.
in the shows.
Yes.
Um, I know that through some of the things that we've talked about, there's so much more. And you mentioned giving the customer the ultimate experience, and I think that that's key with you. I've learned
Hmm.
over the last few weeks, few months that that's really your number one goal. Whether you say it or not, that's kind of
Yeah.
what comes out of you as your number one goal to make sure the customer has the best experience.
We
There's
definitely
a lot
try.
of promoters, there's a lot of promoters across the state and
Hmm.
in the Carolinas. And I think it's one thing to just say that you you've already booked shows through December of next year. A
Yes.
lot of a lot
Hmm.
of promoters don't have that. Now they're up and coming, so it takes a little while to get that, but
For
you're
sure. Yeah.
you're you're ahead, I feel like.
Well, thank you.
And if This is a great time for a commercial. If
I know. Yeah.
if any of you guys listening want to vend with Fourth and
For
Goal
sure.
Promotions, it's pretty easy to find.
It
The
is.
website is fourth, the number four, and goalpromos.com. And you can find it online, but I'll also leave a link down in the description so you'll just be able to click on it. And then at the top, just go to vendor registration and you'll see all of the upcoming events. Now, I don't think you have everything on there right now, but you do put them on there well in advance, and you've got some pretty good table prices too. So,
Thank
as a
you. Yeah.
vendor, I think that works well in a lot of other vendors' favors. They
Yes.
they find it well worth it. So, let's go to the fact that I know you're a memorabilia collector. I know you love collectibles, but you also talk about sports cards and you like sports cards a lot. How much time do you think you spend each week just on stuff for you? Just on your own collection?
I don't know. My wife is right above me. She's upstairs right now, so she's probably gonna laugh at whatever answer I say here because it's a lot. We spend we spend a lot of time talking about collectibles and dealing with collectibles. For my personal collection, it's probably not quite as bad. A lot of times on Sundays, I like to stay down in my man cave, as we call it. I love racing and I like watching racing and messing around down here and cleaning some stuff and organizing some cards for myself. With us starting the card shop, I have spent a ton of time organizing cards over the last maybe 6 to 8 weeks or so because it just takes so long to price and comp and try to be, have favorable pricing and things like that, and make sure that you're up to the market standard and things like that. So we've definitely spent a lot of time as far as that goes. With the personal collection, I feel like I'm gonna get called out for it no matter what I say because I don't. Let's say about
You don't
six
have
to
to
eight
answer.
hours. How about 6 to 8 hours of personal time
Okay.
downstairs where I'm actually excuse me, actually just collecting and enjoying my collection, and then the rest
Okay.
is I'm bad about coming down here too, and I'll get sidetracked because I'll start watching a movie or a race, or I've got a PlayStation down here, so I get tied up on that sometimes, and then that takes away from the time I could be spending on my collection.
You're telling all your secrets here tonight.
I
Okay.
know, I know,
So
I know.
let's keep on that track of the man cave. I see lots of stuff there in the background, which is
There are
great.
a few things, yes.
Tell me some big things that you've got. What do you want to talk about tonight? Anything in particular?
I don't know. I brought a few things that we had on a
Okay.
previous, and then I brought some new stuff. So let's see. I'm a big wrestling fan. That goes back, I don't even know, back to my childhood. Again, my
Hmm.
dad, he's the reason that I'm in debt with collectibles now. So he's also the reason I'm a wrestling fan. So one thing I have that's somewhat new is a tag team belt from
Mm.
the Attitude Era. It's kind of hard to get it in the camera. Sorry. One of my favorite wrestlers growing up was Mankind. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. Mankind got thrown off the top of a cage and won over the world basically in wrestling because he got thrown 20 feet and then finished the match too. So I got this one signed a couple years ago at
Oh,
GalaxyCon.
cool.
It's signed by Mick Foley, which is the actual man himself. Then it's signed by Mankind, Cactus Jack, and Dude Love. And basically, those are all of his personas that he wrestled as. So, of course, he was himself, and then he had three different personas. I think one year in the Royal Rumble, he fought as all three of his personas, which was pretty cool. He didn't win in any of them, so he got beat three times in the same match. But pretty cool that he was able to do that, and then I dropped it. So.
That's
Um,
interesting.
let's see. They got a football helmet,
Mm.
2 bar. This one is a Ray Guy. He was a kicker, first kicker or first punter to ever get into the NFL Hall of Fame. We met him at I don't know if you've ever heard of CSA shows. We
Hmm.
do a show in Chantilly, Virginia. Me and my wife went to that a few different times. Awesome show. They have tons of current and past NFL, MLB players, UFC fighters, a little bit of everything. But met Ray Guy at that show and got that signed. Got a few inscriptions. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but
Yes.
I'm a fan of pretty much anything that's unique. So if I get something signed, I like to get some inscriptions and kind of make it my own and something I'll hold on to forever. Let's see. We haven't talked about action figures, so along with the other things I collect, I've got an action figure collection. I've got one of those right here. I'll bring it on camera. This guy's a lot cooler than me. This is Iron Man. Hopefully, we all
Oh
know
gosh.
Iron Man. So this is a fourth scale action figure. I'm mostly into sixth scale, which is 12-inch tall action figures. This one's about 18 inches tall. And I've got this was the very first one. My wife got me this for, I believe it was a birthday several years ago, and kind of started us into the action figure world. And now we've got maybe around 60 or so hot toys that we sell that are all, or not sell, excuse me, that we collect, that are all 12-inch figures. And I'm trying to think. I don't know if I had anything else or not. I've got one big guy that wants to be on camera for a minute. He's part of my collection. Uh, I'll just slide him over. Let's see. Not sure if you can see him or not. Hopefully you
Oh
can.
goodness, yes.
All right. So that's
Notre Dame.
his nickname is Escobar. So along with my collection of a lot of different things, I've got 5 full-size mannequins that stay in my man cave. And Escobar was my first one. He's Notre Dame. He's got a game used helmet from Notre Dame from 2011. He's got a team issued jersey, team issued pants, team issued cleats. So he's about as close to the real deal as you can get.
Wow.
Yeah, I
That's
think that's probably all for show and tell tonight. I don't know. I could keep going, but
that is
gotta,
amazing. I didn't know we were going to turn into show and tell, but I think
I
that's
know it's
fantastic.
cool. I like it. I get to
Tell
feel
me,
like I'm back in elementary school. I like it.
I see these helmets over your corner, over your shoulder.
Yes.
They look
Mhm.
like Notre Dame helmets. Tell me a little bit about those.
They are. So can you hear me when I turn around? I don't know
Oh
why I like
yeah.
to talk to
Yeah,
the
we're
to the
good.
helmets. Okay, so that's let's see, five. I think that's 13 different helmets. The three in the middle are all game used on that middle level. Yeah, Zeke Mata. I don't know what you know about Notre Dame. Obviously it's the greatest college to ever play football, right? I think we're all on the same page with that. Um, so, helmet on the far left is Zeke Mata game used helmet. The one in the middle is Tommy Rees. He was a good quarterback for us. Took us to the national championship in 2011. So that game was worn in the national championship game. We won't talk about who won that game or the score, but they did make it to the championship game. And then most of the rest of them are just kind of randomly autographed. Some of them I've got signed in person, and some I've picked up over the years as a collector. So
Well, that's cool. Well, I won't get into
yeah,
my trash talking on college football. That's the sport that I probably love the best, the
I'm
most.
I'm a huge college football fan. Obviously,
And
I've got a full size mannequin that stays with me all the time. So yeah, I
and
love
you're
college football.
that is cool. So you probably know I'm a
I
Georgia
do.
fan.
Yes. Yep.
I have got this extreme Georgia collection of cards.
Yep.
I have threatened to just do a whatnot show just on Georgia cards.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I've had so many people say, "Oh my gosh, you need to do it. You need to do it." But I just can't part with all those
I get
cards.
that. Yep.
And I actually saw you at Startown
That's
getting an
right.
autograph from a Georgia player.
I did. I did. I love my Panthers. So
So,
Thomas Davis, I actually met Thomas Davis several times. We used to go to practice a lot when I was younger,
mm,
and he was always so cool. Obviously, he was great on the field, but off the field, he was always nice and would sign autographs and talk to fans and things like that. And Startown's been bringing in some huge players over there. I
oh
love
yeah,
going to those shows, and I love football helmets, as you can see from those. So anytime I can add an autographed helmet to the collection, I'm going to do it, and especially if I can go right down the road to Lincoln and help out a fellow card collector and card shop owner and just a
yeah.
cool guy. So
Yeah, definitely so. And I think that's what's so great about this hobby and this industry is that a lot of people know each other and a lot of people
yeah,
help each other and a lot of
sure.
people promote each other, and
Yes.
it just all works out. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's switch gears just a little bit.
Okay.
Um, you've been in this industry for a good while. You started with your dad when you were a child, basically when you were younger.
Yeah.
You've grown up either collecting or vending, and now you promote. You're a promoter. What's one thing that I got two questions in this whole scenario. What's one thing that
Okay.
you've learned, either good or bad, that you would like to share with somebody? That's
Okay.
number one. And then I'm gonna put you on the spot just a little bit and ask,
Uh,
do you have a favorite of all the stuff? Would you rather be a collector? Would you rather be a vendor? Would
oh,
you
that's
rather be a
tough.
promoter?
Yeah. Okay.
And you may not have a favorite, but let's start with the first question. What's one
Okay.
lesson that you would like to share that you've learned, whether good or bad?
Yeah. So the one thing I learned, I'll say I learned it from Lowe's, but it
Mm,
works for any business, whether it be your local pressure washing business that you're just starting, or your card shop that you're trying to start, or whatever the case may be. I think you have to build a true network of people. You got to have a network of people that you can reach out to when you have questions, when you have concerns, when you have something new that you don't know how to handle. You've got to have some people that you can reach out to. So I've got some examples like I told you with Pokemon, but that's new to me. I'm learning the Pokemon industry. Obviously, it's very popular. Tons and tons of people are collecting, so I got to learn. But in the meantime, I gotta build a network of people to learn from. So my best friend David, he's an expert when it comes to Pokemon. He can kind of point me in the right direction, so I can take some pictures and send to him. Like, hey, do you think these prices are good? If you were coming up to the table, would you be interested in this type of stuff? He can kind of point me in the right direction. I've got another guy that's named Jamie Baker. That's a new friend from the card industry. I just recently met him. Um, he's actually selling us some product to kind of help us get in the Pokemon game, we'll call it. So that's a way that you can build a network. But then, like I say, with even with the promoting world, there's other promoters that I reach out to all the time to ask, hey, have you ever done a show in this area? Do you have anything coming up on this date? Because we obviously want to try to stray away from booking on top of other people's dates and things like that. Maybe some things that they learn from doing this specific show, or whatever the case may be. You just got to build that network of people that you can reach out to in your time of need, and that can be, for collectors, for business owners, for employees, whatever the case may be. Have some people that you can call up and just talk. Sometimes you need to vent, sometimes you need to talk, sometimes you need to ask a question. Have that good network of a few people that you can reach out to.
Yeah, your network is your net worth. That's what I've
Yes,
always heard. And
very much.
it it works well in this industry as well. Okay, so
Yes.
second question, do you have a favorite? Do you have
Okay.
one that you've kind of grown to love more than the others?
Okay. Let's see. So collecting is
Hmm.
always going to be number one. Like
Okay.
I'm a collector at heart. So if I'm hosting a show, being at a show, excuse me, just attending a show, I want to find some stuff that I can put in this man cave that'll never leave. So that's my goal always, is to be a collector at heart. I will say I enjoy the promoting a lot. I really do that because it keeps me busy, and like I say, it keeps my wheels turning. So I really really enjoy the promoting aspect and figuring out new ways to maybe make our show a little different or a little better for the next time, and to really just give people that experience that they want to tell their friends about, and they want to talk about, 10 or 15 years down the road on their podcast. They can talk about something that they found at a fourth and goal show. That would be like a dream come true. They found at a collector's vault show, maybe their first Iron Man, and started their collection into the hot toy world, or their first sports card, and then they took off from there, and maybe they opened a card shop one day or something like that. So
Yeah, that's pretty
I won't.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
I,
not really saying what's second, but promoting is probably second because I just
mhm.
enjoy, because I'm actually getting to do all that at the same time. We usually have a little table at our shows too, and my 11-year-old, she'll vend, and she loves selling and talking to vendors and trading and things like that. So she'll be running a table, and then she'll let me kind of run the show the rest of the time.
It's funny. You'll look back one day and just see this big, huge circle of,
Yes,
how it's been passed through your family and stuff. I
very
think that's
much.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
I would say that collecting is probably my number one too. Sometimes the vending does get to be a business. It
yeah,
gets,
for
I
sure.
mean, you have to run it as a business. Don't get me wrong. I definitely
Hmm.
do. But sometimes the downfalls that may happen as a business owner. I've
Hmm.
always told people that the pluses you get of being an entrepreneur are really the minuses as well. They
Yeah.
they play both sides of the table. I've
Hmm.
got plenty of time freedom being an entrepreneur, but at the same time, I work all the time and I don't have as much time freedom. So
Yeah.
I've got both.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's get to this kind of fun question. Is there anything that you're chasing right now? Is there anything that in the industry that's what you want? That's your next big
Yeah.
thing that you want to purchase?
Trying to think. Sometimes you just see something that you got to have, and you may not be ready for that. So I don't know what that particular item might be. When it comes to my hot toy collection, I'm looking for a Bane hot toy. Bane was in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Mm,
I think he was a really good bad
okay.
guy. Tom Hardy did a good job. I've watched that movie way too many times. I could probably go like line for line throughout the whole movie if I needed to. So I would like to add that they just made an updated figure. It came out maybe a year or so ago. So that'll be one thing I'm looking for. Um, I'm a big football fan, of course. I'd like to add a Josh Allen autograph one of these days. I enjoy watching the Bills play, and I just like Josh Allen overall as a person. And I'd like to add something from him. And then let me think. I've got one Derek Jeter picture that's autographed. I've always wanted a Derek Jeter game model bat autographed, and
Mm.
possibly some other things. I think he's got one of the prettiest autographs of all time. I'm a big Yankees fan, and he was, well, obviously one of the greatest shortstops and one of the cleanest guys to ever do it. He just was just all around good guy and a good baseball player. So I'd like to add another Derek Jeter autograph one of these days.
That's pretty awesome. That's really cool. I do like autographs too. I don't really get into it too much. I've helped some other people, consign some autographed
Hmm.
memorabilia, baseballs and stuff like that. But I definitely do enjoy it. I almost actually bought a it was a lot of money. That's what probably kept me from doing it. But
Yeah.
it was a signed Georgia helmet, full size helmet, game
Nice.
used helmet. It was
Yeah.
signed by 13 Georgia stars. And
Nice.
I would say, let's see, Brock Bowers, Lad McConkey had signed it.
Nice.
And it spanned a good many years. I think Muhammad Massaquoi had signed it.
Hmm.
Um, Trevor Etienne had signed it.
Nice.
I mean, it was a ton of good Georgia players, and I passed on it.
Yeah.
I should have bought it. The guy had it listed for a long time, and he finally sold it. But I probably could have got a good deal.
Yeah,
But
you got to pull the trigger sometimes when it's time to buy. I'll give Matt a call out. There's been like two different shows that you had a card I wanted, and I was like, I'll come back in just a little bit, and then I go back and I'm like, where's this card? He's like, I just sold it. You should have
oh
bought it
yeah,
then. So,
I
yep,
hate that. That is the worst thing. That is the thing that
yep,
I hate the most
I do
about
it a lot.
shows.
Yeah, I'm a procrastinator when it comes to
It
buying
and
sometimes.
it's not just you. I've had this one guy. I mean, I felt like he got mad at me.
Hmm.
He asked me to he picked out four cards that he wanted, and um it was at a show. And he said, well, I've got to walk around over here. Can I come right back? And I'm like, sure, I'll hold on to them. An hour later,
Mm,
he comes back, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I sold them. I had
yeah.
somebody else wanting them. I didn't know you were coming back. An hour. Now, if it had been 10 minutes later and I'd
Oh
sold them,
yeah.
that would have
Hmm.
been on me. I mean, if I told somebody I would hold them,
Yeah.
I hate holding things because of that.
Yeah.
And I just really felt bad. And it was not my fault. It was his fault. He should have come
Yeah.
back. But,
Yeah.
that happens at some of the
It
shows.
does.
And that would
Oh
be
yeah.
one of the things that I kind of dislike the most about the shows.
Hmm.
Usually I go on my gut, how I feel. And, I know people that are trying to buy stuff or trying to get the best deal possible.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes that's not going to work. I know what I need to make off of certain things, if I'm
Hmm.
going to stay in business. And don't get me wrong. I mean, if it's a kid and they're trying to get started, I'm probably giving stuff, and
Yes. Yep.
I think I told you the story that happened at your location or at the Shelby show that you put on.
Hmm.
I was there at my table, and this kid and his grandmother come up, and he brings me a card. And I thought, wow, that made me feel so good. I didn't have
Yep.
to make any money that weekend. I would have felt good
Yep.
because of that one thing. He had remembered a conversation we had months prior. He knew I collected Georgia stuff, and he found a Georgia card that he brought me, and I thought, oh wow, that's so cool. He didn't ask to get paid for it. I looked up the value on it. I mean, it wasn't much. It was like $5, but I gave him 10. And I said,
Nice.
and I knew that it was the show, and he was kind of early. I said, well, here's 10, just go spend it, go buy you something else. And he did, because he came back later on, and I got to see what he had purchased. And to me,
Yeah.
that's fun too. If kids come around and they've got this stack of cards, a lot of times they're asking, hey, you want to buy anything? And I'll be
Hmm.
glad to look through them, but sometimes I'll say, hey, what did you pick up today?
Yeah.
And that's fun,
Yeah.
get to see that. So, okay, final question, and we'll wrap it up. This has been a great interview tonight. I really appreciate it, Brandon. This has been our
Nice.
10th take or whatever it is.
I like it.
So, but what's a tip that you might have for somebody wanting to get into the collectibles industry? Doesn't have to be cards, it could be anything in collectibles. What's a
Okay.
tip that you would have?
Um, I like the networking tip. It's still
Hmm.
the best. But if I have to think of something else, I would say just collect what you like. You
Yep.
know, everybody likes something different. Collect what you particularly love. You know, if you don't have to collect something just because Brandon collects it or Matt collects it. Collect what makes you happy. You've interviewed several different people. You know, you've interviewed card collectors. You've interviewed a little bit of everything. But the last guy, I forget his name again. I'm sorry.
Jake.
Yes, Jake had the
Hmm.
most impressive collection ever of ball cards with
Hmm.
26,000 cards or something, and obviously that makes him really happy. So that's his thing, you know, finding those vintage cards and trying to complete sets. And he's got a little bit of everything: bobbleheads, baseballs. I don't even remember the whole list of things that he was trying to get for all those players, but that's what he loves, and that's what he looks for when he goes to shows. So just find something you love. If it's action figures, there's plenty of shows around that are selling action figures. If it's mannequins, you know, you can be like Brandon and have some mannequins and walk in your man cave and get scared because you forget that they're there sometimes because they are kind of in a dark corner. So when you turn the lights on, they'll get you. But really, I think that's what it is. Just find something that you
Hmm.
love and go after it. You know, you can always be on a budget. My wife will probably be laughing through the floor with that because I do a bad job at that sometimes. Sometimes I have a budget and then I blow it out of the water because I go to a show and they just have too many good things and I have to take some of them home with me. But if possible, as much as possible, stay on budget, find some things you love and start your collection. It can be a small collection, it can be a large collection. It takes time. You know, I've been collecting for basically 30 years, and it's taken that long to grow my collection to what it is now.
Well, I'm glad you said it because that's what I was thinking exactly. Pick something that you love
Yeah.
and collect those. And I'll kind of extend that a little bit and say that I heard somebody say this the other day. I don't remember who it was. But they basically said buy things that you aren't concerned about them losing money,
Yeah,
about them losing value. So
for
if
sure.
you like the items enough, if the value goes down, it's not gonna destroy you.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I do. A lot of this Georgia stuff that I have,
Hmm.
it's I don't know where the value is. It could go up.
Yeah.
I actually bought a Georgia card this morning and of course I looked up the value to begin with. I knew the value was about double what I paid for it.
Hmm.
But honestly, if it went down tomorrow, I'm not going to be disappointed because I wanted the card, you
Yeah.
know. Man, this has been great. I've had a great time tonight. This has been a great interview. Um, I appreciate you so
Well,
much.
thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
Thanks for coming back. A lot of people probably would have said, I'm not going to fool with it anymore.
No, I'm glad to do it.
So
And we,
hopefully
we didn't
every
have to cut any. We didn't have to cut any and insert any
no,
ads or anything like that. That was pretty good.
no,
Not
we
bad.
don't do that on this channel. It's too much
Yeah.
work.
I like it. I like it.
Well, Brandon, I definitely do appreciate it. Thank you so much. If any of you guys need more information about Brandon and Collector's Vault and Fourth and Gold Promotions,
Yeah.
or even BMW Landscaping, that
Yeah.
information is going to be down in the description. You can contact him and get in touch with him. You can probably find a lot of his stuff on Facebook, but I'll put all that information down below.
We do.
All
Yep.
Also, if you like what you see here on the channel, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe. I know a lot of people aren't subscribed to YouTube right now, and we would really appreciate that. It would help us grow. Share it with all your friends. Brandon, you got anything final to say tonight?
Let me think. I've talked a lot. I'm long-winded as always. I enjoy talking about collectibles. So you get me started talking about collectibles, I'm going to enjoy it, and we're gonna talk until you're ready to leave. So we did that at the Startown Card Show. My youngest daughter, no, not my youngest, my next youngest. She got tired of hearing me and you talk, and she was falling asleep standing up. So I'll try not to do that too much. But the last thing I'll say is just thank you to everybody. You know, if you're coming to shows, we truly appreciate it. If you're vending at shows, we really appreciate it. All of our businesses take a lot of hands behind the scenes. A lot of family members help out, which I truly appreciate. You know, all of my kids sometimes get drafted into it, whether they like it or not. But my parents play a role. My brother plays a role. My wife, Clarissa, plays a humongous role in all of our businesses. And then I've got two guys that work with me in pretty much every business that we do. Nicholas, you've seen him at about every show. I think he's missed one show he was sick for, and every other show he's been at. So if you see Nicholas, give him a pat on the back. He does a little bit of everything really when it comes to landscaping, collector's vault, organizing cards, setting up displays, and then fourth and goal, he's pretty much running all day long. And then KJ, he does the same thing with each business. He's involved with landscaping, card shop. He knows a lot about cards, so he points me in the right direction a lot of times when it comes to that. And then he helps with fourth and goal, of course, too. So just thank you to everybody that's making it possible. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. Facebook, email, whatever works for you. Text me, call me. It might be a little loud if you call, so sometimes text is a little easier to get a hold of me because we're usually on a lawnmower or a tractor somewhere during the day. But other than that, just hope to see you soon. We got a
Okay.
couple shows coming up. I will say that real fast, if you
Yeah,
don't mind.
please. No. Hmm.
August 8th will be in Salisbury at the Rowan County Fair. We've got two buildings this time. Every other show we've done there has been one building, so we're doubling in size. We're going to have probably about 140 tables. The Kit Car will be there again. He was a big hit at the Shelby show, so he's going to be inside this time. He's glad about that. He won't have to deal with the heat, so he'll be inside Building B. And then August 15th, we've got we've got a card show in Gastonia at the
Hmm.
Gastonian Halls. And then August 15th, that evening, we'll have our first ever comedy show presented by Fourth and Goal
Yeah,
Promotions. So clean comedy, open for all ages, and we'll have a good time. And we've got two professional comedians that'll perform, and we've also got a open mic chance for you to get up, Matt. You can get up and have you a few minutes.
that's interesting.
Yeah. So other
That
than
is,
that, I think that is all I'm working on right now. I hope, and then hope to see everybody really soon.
yeah, I'll be at the Gastonia show on the 15th.
Nice.
And we're gonna try to hang out for the comedy too. So I won't be
Yeah,
doing
you
any
should do it.
open mic, no open mic stuff,
I'm
but
not either. I'm not doing
we'll
it. No.
we'll hang out over there. And
Yep.
yeah, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your whole family and how kind they are to myself, and I'm sure all the other vendors out there as well.
Yes.
So we appreciate it, Brandon. Thank you so much for being here tonight,
Thank
and
you.
we'll do another one. So
I
we'll
like it.
we'll get together and have another one.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
Good night, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you on the next one. We'll see you later.